Abuja. I am Inyene Ibanga, and here are the headlines. Nigeria population hits 198 million. On the foreign scene, death toll in Algerian military plane crash hit 257. And in sports, Commonwealth Games, number of missing Cameroonian athletes rises to 8. Stay tuned as we bring you details of the news. The National Population Commission (NPC) has put Nigeria's current population at 198 million people, with urban population growing at an average annual growth rate of about 6.5%. Chairman of the NPC, Eze Duru Ihioma, stated this in New York at the 51st session of the Commission on Population and Development. The recent World Population Prospect predicts that by 2050, Nigeria will become the third most populated country in the world. Duru Ihioma, however, said Nigerian cities hosted widespread poverty and unemployment at an average of 18.4%. He lamented that insecurity and inadequate health care services have adversely impacted on the quality of life and standards of living of the urban populace. According to him, Nigeria stays committed to the twin goals of the Habitat Agenda, which is adequate shelter for all and the development of sustainable human settlements in an urbanizing world. With the declaration by President Muhammadu Buhari to seek re-election in the 2019 election, some analysts have said political gimmicks will become heightened in the country. Those who spoke with our correspondents advised all stakeholders not to do anything that heats up the polity and jeopardize Nigeria's democracy.
Unfortunately, whenever time like this come around, people will make use of it to start creating confusion, killing, scattering things here and there. This time around, we have to wake up from our sleep and do the right thing. If you want to vote, go quietly, choose your leader. Whether we like it or not, the power is in our hands. The vote that we have is the power to change any leader who has not performed or who has performed poorly. Use your vote and not to be violent and not to even criticize people or insulting people.
Politicians have started coming out to declare their intention. They want to run for office. The truth is that the government cannot be without the governed. Most of the time when we see election violence, you hardly see children of those who are contesting for offices. You see youth who are being maltreated, youth whose unemployment is 33.1%. Those are the people that sold their 4 years because of 1,000 to 5,000. And you see youth carrying arms and ammunition. I want to call on all Nigerians that this election period, go and vote. It is to vote, not to fight. Vote for the candidate of your choice. If you want to contest and you are qualified by law, go to the polling booths.
The forthcoming election, come 2019, should be a peaceful one, and I'm equally encouraging them to vote rightly. No youth should allow himself to be used as a tool in this forthcoming election. This should be the most astounding election that Nigeria has ever experienced in its history. We shouldn't allow the politicians to manipulate us. We should go out and vote in masses. We should go out and vote for those that we feel that are credible.
The advice to Nigerians is that we should play politics the way it's supposed to be played, especially the politicians. Let them stop using the youth. These politicians should please try and play the games the way they are supposed to be played. Let them try and see how we can have peaceful election. Let them not encourage youth to come out and begin to cause trouble among themselves, because they will start from themselves and they extend to innocent people.
President Buhari declared his intention to seek re-election in Abuja on Monday before his departure to London. The president is due to attend a meeting of Commonwealth member countries, among other things, during the visit to the United Kingdom. Nigerians have called on the federal government to allocate more money to the education sector in order to fix the decay in the sector. They made the call while reacting to reports by the Federal Ministry of Education declaring that the funding of education at all levels in the country falls below the benchmark recommended by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. This, they say, have denied many Nigerian children the right to qualitative education.
We need to develop our education, we need to develop our schools, and all the schools should be funded, adequately funded for that matter. But how do we achieve that? Time has come for us now to call upon the National Assembly to make a law that will say all the civil servants, including themselves, the parliamentarians, their children should be schooling in our public schools. That way they will focus on our schools and fund it adequately. Otherwise, we'll be wasting time.
UNESCO have said that every developing country, underdeveloped country, should budget 26% of their budget to education. Nigeria has done less than 7%. Nigeria imports education with 1.5 trillion naira annually. It is not that Nigeria don't want to be educated. It is just that the needful infrastructure and perhaps some curriculum in some schools in Nigeria are not just 21st century in nature. So government needs to spend more money. Know that they cannot make education work. Then they need to form a public-private partnership such that we can have education that they can be proud to take their children to, such that white-skinned people from other countries, people can come. Nigerians are proud of going to Ghana to school, Republic of Benin to school. These are very appalling. Until we start seeing presidents of other countries coming to put their children in Nigerian schools, then we know that we are very far in terms of education.
I want to use this opportunity to advise the federal government to put in more effort in the educational sector, because just like the saying goes, that children are the future of tomorrow, and the youths are equally the future of Nigeria. Just an area of funds, but they should inspect our institutions in Nigeria, both the tertiary, the secondaries, and the primary, and to equally checkmate the teachers, to equally checkmate the activities of the school, to make sure that the students are being taught properly, they are being taught the right things they are supposed to know, so that Nigeria will always stand out when we meet with our counterparts.
Cannot bring up an illiterate generation without education from the primary to the tertiary level. If we are not educated, then it means that the nation is going to be an illiterate nation. Development will not happen. If we are not even careful, we won't begin to depend on even third world countries. There are some resources that have not even been discovered, and it is really education that can lead us to discover those resources.
UNESCO's benchmark for funding of education is 26% of the national budget and 6% of the gross domestic product, GDP, but Nigeria has been allocating 6% of the national budget to the funding of its education. The Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, says it is not going back on its plan to remove all unpainted taxis from Abuja streets. Speaking with FCT correspondent in Abuja, Kayode Olaifa, FCTA Transportation Secretary, said the painted taxis will be upgraded to suit the needs of the residents.
There are too many unpainted and unregistered taxis. It is not in the interest of 48,000 of them to work from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. struggling, disturbing traffic, picking and dropping at undesignated places. We are going to weed out all the unpainted taxis out of the road, and the taxi drivers will be able to work in a much more relaxed. If we improve the quality of the taxi, believe me, you are paying more now. Pay a taxi 50 naira from one point to the other, and you come out dirty with dust. It is better to sit in a vehicle that you are comfortable inside. It takes you to where you are going.
Meanwhile, some FCT residents in an interview with our correspondent expressed concerns over the policy.
Before taking away unpainted taxis, they should make adequate arrangement for the replacement, because you don't take away something that people are used to without making available replacement for them, because if you do that, you are creating unnecessary hardship and difficulty. They have to do it with good intention. It is important we do things that will not make hardship more harder.
Taxi system in Abuja is very worrisome. If government wants to do away with unpainted taxi, I think government should find a platform to call them and set up a proper system, registration with government. Some persons are actually government workers who don't earn enough, but they want to put that as attachment. But it's really going to be difficult to do. If you say you want to ban all unpainted taxis, what government should do first is to make sure that some offices allow painted taxi to go in. Easier for government to say they don't want painted taxi than for government to say they don't want unpainted taxi. Government needs to create a database of some sort for how many number of taxis are operating in Abuja, or create a forum where painted and unpainted taxi can interface.
So many unpainted taxis are operating in the nation due to the fact of the situation of the country. Because so many of them are private workers, so many of them have the car privately, not with the intention of making use of it commercially, but due to the fact that things are difficult as it is right now. That's why they have gone into commercial taxi. The masses in FCT are more than the vehicles that we have. Instead of scrapping out unpainted taxis in the FCT, look for a medium whereby they can do this whole thing systematically by bringing in those unpainted taxis so that they can be able to incorporate it with the painted taxis, so that they will be able to have a system for every person that wants to involve in commercial driving.
In a way, with unpainted taxis have their own advantage and disadvantage. There are some estates in this Abuja that do not allow painted taxis to drive into their estate, but they allow unpainted vehicles. The unpainted taxis cannot be monitored. The thing that I believe government can do is to regularize those unpainted taxis, call them and register them, maybe organize a union for them so that anybody who is interested in using his or her vehicle for that purpose will get this registered.
The news at 6 will return after this break. Stay with us. You're still listening to the news at 6 on Human Rights Radio, 101.1 FM, Abuja. We now go to the foreign scene. An Algerian military plane has crashed and caught fire on Wednesday, killing 257 people, mostly army personnel and members of the families. Hundreds of ambulances and dozens of fire trucks had rushed to the scene of the crash, about 25 kilometers southwest of Algiers. The Defense Ministry in a statement confirmed that 247 passengers and 10 crew members were killed, without mentioning any survivors. Deputy Defense Minister General Ahmed Gaid Salah visited the site and has ordered an investigation into the circumstances of the crash. The transport plane was bound for Tindou in southwest of the country. Algeria has suffered a string of military and civilian aviation disasters in recent times. In other sports, reports say the number of Cameroonian athletes missing at the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games have risen from 3 to 8 on Wednesday, as Games officials expressed concern over their safety. The Cameroon Commonwealth team said it is sad to announce that 8 athletes are missing from their respective rooms in the Games village. The team's chef de mission, Victor Agbo, in a statement in Sydney, noted that the athletes were 3 weightlifters and 5 boxers who left the athletes' village in 3 waves over the past days. The African nation has 42 athletes at the Games, billed to run till Sunday. That's the news, but before we go, let's bring you another reminder of our top stories. Nigeria's population hits 198 million. On the foreign scene, death toll in Algerian military plane crash hits 257. And in sports, Commonwealth Games, number of missing Cameroonian athletes rises to 8. That's the news at 6 on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, Abuja. My name is Inyene Ibanga. Thank you for staying with us. Good evening.